Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show. It is Puka once again, joined by Ryan Aho and Bert Lehman. Thank you once again to our friends over at Weir's Machine, weirsmachine.com. Now, Ryan, I've heard you talking. What's that thing they got? Did you say they've got a spring smasher?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about a spring smasher.
Here's the deal. They didn't have them when I raced. When I raced, you went home, you scaled the car, you put it up on 4 scales, you took all the measurements. Now, in a late model, modified, whatever, you can pull the coilover off that has the spring right on it, and then you put it on the smasher, and you can compress it X amount of inches, and it'll give out a load reading. You don't even need to. Johnny Broking, for example, he's like, I've never scaled my car. He goes, I've never scaled it. We just put it on there and load test everything. I mean, it just saves people so much time. It's so much more consistent with things, but just another one of those great products they have over there at Weir's Machine. So give Chad a call for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Give Chad a call. Blow up his phones right now, everybody. It's weirsmachine.com. All right. And again, thank you so much, Chad, and everyone down there. Lots of racing. We're gonna recap things like we always do. Give you a little preview about what we kind of see a week ahead as far as interesting races. So we're happy to have Ryan Aho here after a busy week, and we're wondering if he has a voice left, but we already tested it. Looks like he does. So we're going to start out from about a week ago at Fairbury. Now, an interesting race that they put together, and it's been about 3-4 years since Knoxville changed that date. Knoxville's late model nationals used to be the same weekend as Ashland, and then they cut it back about 3 years ago to the same weekend as the Legendary 100 and the Wazota 100, which was, of course, this past weekend. And so you had all these haulers that have been, for the last few years, driving with no racing from Eldora over to Knoxville, and a gutsy move by the promoters down there in Fairbury to do a $15,000 to win one-night show during the week. But, Bert, maybe we'll start with you. I was pretty impressed. What were your thoughts?
That place never ceases to amaze me. I mean, I've never seen racing like that. I mean, they just battle side by side. There's a high side, low side, and it's a small track, close, tight racing. But it's always exciting racing to watch. And, Brandon Shepard pulled out the victory in the late model feature. But, midway through, there's like 4 cars battling for the lead. And, of Wisconsin drivers, Taylor Scheffler finished 7th in that race, which was a good showing for him. This past weekend, I got to talk to Taylor at a different race, and he said he's been going to Fairbury, and it's a whole different world down there, he said.
Yeah, I saw.
What was your take, Ryan?
Well, that place is incredible. I mean, if you're a dirt fan, and you have not watched a race at Fairbury, whether it's in person or online, you need to do that. Like, literally, just jump on YouTube, type in Falls, Fairbury, American Legion Speedway, I believe is what it's called. Unbelievable. Now, the question I have is this, right? We talked to the drivers. I think the drivers in our area, and a lot of them listen to the show, so sorry, but you guys are soft. I'm going to be honest. You guys are soft. I mean, I talked to every one of you this last weekend at Ferguson. You're like, man, I love it. It's smooth. It's black. I'm like, the drivers, they want it. And then I asked them the next question. If you had to pick a race to watch, where would it be? They're like, oh, Fairbury's incredible. I'm like, you wouldn't even unload your race car, right? Because the place got traction. It's got a cushion. It's tacky. It's fast. And they're slide jobbing and bankboarding each other. I'm like, I was laughing at some of these guys. I'm like, you wouldn't even unload. Like, I was talking to my buddy Mike Bressup, and he was up in Rapids. It was really rough Labor Day weekend, and it was rough. I said, he's like, I love that place. I said, would you even unload? He goes, man, I don't know. He goes, that looks like it's pretty hard on equipment. I said, that's the point. The fans love it. They eat it up. But the drivers are like, oh, we want smooth drive. We want asphalt racing. Unbelievable. But, like Bert said, the late model race was epic. In the middle of that race, I think you had Strickler and Babb, and you had Kid Rocket was in there. And then you had, there was like 4 or 5 of them on. I think Overton was in the mix. Yeah, Richards. They were all battling. And it was slide job, high, low, all over the racetrack. It was amazing. Bobby Pierce's type of racetrack, right? We pick on him. It's not so smooth operator, but you get him on a track like that, and he is flat out amazing to watch. 17th to 3rd in the modified race. Bishop obviously won. The modified race was good too. We talk about late models all the time, but Nick Hoffman's been about unbeatable. I mean, the guys just bolted, and that Mike McKinney, I mean, they swapped the lead multiple times throughout the end of the race, and he's up banging the cushion and sliding, and they're smashing and banging, and I mean, it was unbelievable to watch, and McKinney got a thriller at the line in that one. You know, the one thing I got for a question, though, so the racing was great. I mean, it does not disappoint. Anybody can just jump on, you know, and check out the highlights of that race. But what's with the heat race? Did you watch that whole program?
Yeah, are you talking about the Madden one?
I am. He made it all the way through one before he stepped on his dick in front of the whole pack. Start out, yellow comes out. They give him a spot back. I'm like,
yeah, well, I was going to ask you guys the same thing. What's the call? Is it because they never completed a lap or what?
Yeah, from what I understand, and Bert might know the answer to this, but I guess Lucas Oil has a deal where if everybody doesn't take the first lap, then they go back to original restart. Is that kind of a Lucas deal? Bert, do you know anything about that?
I don't know.
So they had original restart, okay? Now, if that's the rule, if it's original restart on lap one, I'm freaking yard sailing that thing into turn one every single time. I'm going to try to pass like 8 guys. I'm going to do a turbo Tyler Erb slide job and try to slide job like 7 guys in the first corner, okay? And if it don't work, oh, well, screw it. I'll just stop in the corner, get my spot back, and we'll get a do-over. Stupid-ass rule. Stupid. Yeah, just stupid. Why would they even have that rule? I mean, if somebody causes the yellow, you go to the back of the pack. You can't be giving people their spot back. But other than that, it was incredible.
Yeah, I was very surprised at that. I'm glad you brought that up because I was flabbergasted. I'm like, what's going on here? What else did I have here? Oh, did you know promoters? Weeknight show, like I said, gutsy move. $15,000 to win. Looked like they had a good crowd, not necessarily a great crowd. But did you notice? They're there to see the late models. What did they run first on their weeknight program? The late models. You know,
yeah, that's because the late models. No. Late models are support class. It's the main event. See, you go to WWE, the main event. You go to boxing, all that, right? WWE, UFC, the main events last. The modifieds were last. McKinney, Hoffman, Thriller. That's what it was. You guys, I mean, you leaving that intermission because it's past your bedtime. Man, you ain't gonna cut it. I mean, we gotta. That's why we have things like Dirt Race Central, so you can watch it the next day, right? When you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
4 a.m.
That's for you, right? The premier class ran last.
One thing to note too is speaking of that, you know, kind of a tacky hammer down track. Only 8 late models finished the race. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I thought that, and the next day I thought about it. I went back and looked. Yeah, eight cars finished, but yeah, like I said, Fairbury just doesn't disappoint.
And that might be why the drivers are like, I love watching it. I don't think I would want to race there. Because Strickler was bolted again. He was fast. He was in the top. He was battling for the lead, and he ended up ripping a J-bar out. I think he spit a drive shaft, or for sure he ripped the J-bar out and shoved the rear end over. That's why he broke. But it's hard on equipment. You better have a big checkbook, but it's entertaining for sure.
It's funny that you talk about drivers who wouldn't unload the race there. I also interviewed Rick Scheffler, who's Taylor's dad, and I asked him why they were going down to Illinois more this year to race. They've been racing a lot more at Fairbury and Farmer City, and he said, because I want him to learn how to drive on the high side, because around here everybody just kind of hugs the bottom, and down there you have to, if you want to be successful, you have to race on the cushion.
Yeah. Ryan, you talked about that. You said that some of the drivers complained to you and said, well, Ryan, you've been talking about the cushion on the One to Go show. Tracks we race at, we don't have cushions. So, I mean, but Falls never disappoints. They got one every week. All right. Moving on.
Yeah. Bert, you were
time for some fall brawl?
Yeah, but Outagamie Fall Brawl. He's like, I just call it the Seymour Special, he says. So the Outagamie Fall Brawl at Seymour, you were there, right? You were at that show.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. I actually watched a little bit of it, but you were there. So
I was there. There was they had 7 divisions. They had 230 some cars, I believe. Started racing at 5 o'clock, and they were still racing at 11. And I mean, with no intermission, no breaks. I mean, it was just constant. The track was really dry from the get-go. So I was a little worried about what the racing was going to be come feature time. It was black from top to bottom, but I mean, there's multiple grooves which was good. Mike Mullen won this was a Dirt Kings race. Mike Mullen won the Dirt Kings feature. He started on the outside pole, and Mullen is a throttle masher, and he likes to run the cushion, and that's where he ran during the race, and he won. Nick Avalink finished second, and it was a few shows ago, Ryan asked me if Nick ever runs a high side, and he tried it a little bit, but he raced more in the middle of the track. There were several restarts, and he tried to dive in low and do the slide job, but Mullen was just too quick for him. And another podium finish for Kyle Redant. So it's only his second year in a late model, and he's looking pretty good. It was funny because after the late model heats, late model pulled in on an open trailer, and it was a car number 44. And I was joking with you guys. I sent you guys a text that Madden just showed up in an open trailer. Well, as it turns out, it was Dan Sleeper who showed up. I know he raced a couple years ago in a Scheffler car at the George Scheffler Memorial race, but yeah, he showed up, raced a Consi, missed making the feature by one position. So that was kind of cool to see that. Mike Mullen also won the modified feature, so he won 2 races that night. And in the sport mod feature, Jaden Schmidt won his 15th IMSA Sport Mod Feature of the Year. He's a 17-year-old. He won 2 track championships this year, finished second at another track. He's going places. He's going to be a top driver. There was an interest with probably about 5 laps to go. There was a restart, and he was starting, I think he was starting 4th, and he pulled to the inside of the car in front of him. And from the stands, you can't necessarily see it from the video, but from the stands, you could tell that he knew that he had to back off, and you could tell that he let up. But it was really close, and I guess I'd like to hear your opinion, Ryan, on do you think he jumped the start?
No, he did not jump the start. He did exactly what you said. He pulled out of line, and he lifted so that he wouldn't jump the start. Now, the question I have watching that deal, right, is there's clearly a reason that he's got 15 feature wins, and then Yahoos in front of him don't, right? Because when you're leading on the restart and you're in the second row, what in the hell are they doing driving through 3 and then driving all the way up by the wall in 4? And then, what are they doing? Have they not watched the race? You drive into 3, you turn, and you point that deal right at the flag stand, and then you come down the track and go. That's exactly what he was going to do. He went up, he turned it, he went to go underneath, and he's like, where the hell are these guys going? And, they didn't fire. He let them go, then he pulled back in line. That's not on him. The kid has track awareness. He's looking at that. He knew what to do. That's what you do. You watch every single national series. You watch late models. You watch sprint cars. They're all turning it and rolling down the track on the start. And these guys were like, I have no idea what they were doing. None. I have no idea what they were doing on the start. I actually looked at the Facebook page, and there were some people giving them a little bit of grief. And it's like, guys, this 17-year-old kid is just flat out better than you. You better get used to it. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that reminded me a lot of that deal with Ashton Winger at the Firecracker. Remember when he got caught? I mean, it was the same kind of thing. He just kind of got out of line, like you said, Ryan. He got out of line, but they hammered him for that. So
they did. They hammered him, but I think Winger stayed in the pump, right? He stayed in the gas. This guy here, he hit the gas, and then he kind of he almost woke up the whole field behind him because everybody did what he did except for the guys in front of him. And I get it. You're supposed to technically stay in line and follow the guy, but my goodness, I mean, get back to being in the right groove on the racetrack. I mean, you can't be driving through the middle of the slick and marbles on the restart. Turn the car, come down the hill. So he knew what to do. The people in front of him had no clue what to do, and he hit the brakes. Now, had he kept going, he would have had the lead right away, and they would have either docked him or put him to the back. But because he didn't advance himself on that deal, they made the right call, because he caught himself before advancing position, and I think the right call was made. And he put on a hell of a show at the end, swapping the lead back and forth and taking that deal at the line. That was good stuff. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, several shows ago we were talking about about slide jobs, and yeah, they were swapping slide jobs back and forth the last few laps, and that's one thing about Jaden Schmidt. He's not afraid to put it on the cushion, and he's not afraid to race it low. I mean, he'll race it anywhere on the track, and he'll drive to find different lines, whatever the fastest line is. And to me, you can tell a smart racer when you can see them searching on the track for a different line. And it was fun to watch those last few laps.
And if you're listening to this on the podcast, jump on the Facebook page and actually watch the show, because we just played a clip of this, and you can make the call. You can determine what you think. I played the clip, and then obviously you see the last couple laps of this great race, but you make the call on this one.
Yeah, or if you're a preteen and don't have Facebook because you only have Snapchat, we're not on Snapchat, go to our YouTube page too, the One to Go show. Bert, I did want to ask you this. Mike Mullins, what age is he, roughly?
I would say he's in his 30s.
Well, he's like, I mean, that if I've learned one thing from doing this show for the last 47 weeks, it's like this Mike Mullins is like the best kept, to me, because I hadn't heard of him, like one of the best kept dirt racer secrets in all of Wisconsin. Does he just not like traveling?
No, I mean, he travels. He races for somebody. He doesn't own his own cars. So he has a car owner who owns his modified. The same car owner owns the modified and the late model. I don't know if you've ever heard of Brian Mullen. He's one of the better known IMCA modified drivers from Eastern Wisconsin. That would be Mike Mullen's dad.
Okay.
So, racing is definitely in his blood. But I mean, they travel around they just kind of race where they want to go race for fun. They tried racing late models several years ago, and he had a lot of success right away. He actually won one of the NASCAR features at Nationals weekend, probably about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And I mean, the guy could wheel a race car. I wish that they would race the late model more often.
Well, that's what I mean. Who shows up at Cedar Lake the weekend of the Nationals, wins one of the races, and never comes back? I mean, Ryan, who does that? I mean, think about it. Never comes back.
Is he with Soda legal, or does he kind of have more of an open motor program in that deal with a restrictor? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I know it's MP Customs chassis. Jimmy Mars and those guys put the car together, and but I'm not quite sure what they have for a motor.
He was at Plymouth the night there was a battle royale, wasn't he? Wasn't he battling for the lead?
Yes, he's the one who did the wheelie.
Yeah, he was freaking bolted there too. Yeah,
yes,
when he monster trucked that guy, went over the top of him, like, holy cow, right? But he was really good that night too. He might have been the fastest car on the racetrack. Right.
I mean, if he would race the late model on a regular basis, I believe you'd be one of the top drivers in the area, definitely.
All right, Mike Mullins, early October, what is it, 2nd and 3rd? There's a little place in Wisconsin called Ashland. Follow Nick Anvilink up there. Bring your stuff. If you need to borrow a motor, Mars probably has 10 of them. Ask him for one. Get up there. We'd love to see it. I can't believe he's only in his 30s. I mean, this guy's still – I mean, he hasn't even reached his full potential yet. So, I mean, I would love to see him racing around Wisconsin more. And we're going to talk about late model numbers a little later, but, that's a guy that I'd love to see weekly in a late model and, maybe find his way out of the, 3-county area a little more often. So, all right. Are we ready to move to another Wisconsin piece of real estate?
Yeah, let's get legendary.
Yeah. So the Legendary 100 down at Cedar Lake Speedway. Ryan, do you want to start on this one?
The X Factor. I tell you what, that is it is currently his residence. The Cedar Lake Speedway is owned by Jesse Glenz, okay? He allows other people to race there, but he owns that place. 5 late model wins there this year. Got her done again in the late model. I mean, he was bolted. One of the few guys that really passed. It wasn't real racy. Daryl Nelson came up on the bottom, but Glenz was the first guy to find that high side and really carry that momentum. Obviously, he won the modified race as well. I mean, Jesse Glenz was the class of the field. I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Dave Flynn, because I'm a super stock guy. he tracked down multi-time national champ Kurt Myers, who actually built his car and drove by him at the line to win the super stock portion. Great racing. They're big car counts, late model count. I'll let you get into that, Puka. It was extremely disappointing, right? I mean, there was no late models there. I think it ended up being 18 or 19 on
19.
Yeah,
19.
Not a good deal. But all in all, I mean, that's really what I got. Jesse Glenn's was amazing. I mean, he was bolted in both cars. So what did you guys get out of that?
Go ahead, Bert.
Okay, this is a One to Go show exclusive X Factor.
Whoa!
Nice.
Look at that. Did you do that?
This is actually the 2019 version that I've been working on when I had time the last few months.
Very nice.
I like the way his car looks, and I've been kind of saving this until he had a big win. So I think this is as good a time as any to debut it.
And Bert said he's giving that away to our next $10,000 advertiser. You sign an annual contract, Bert said he's sending that to you for free. So, Bert Lehman on Facebook.
There you go. There you go. You can even find
very
me
nice
for that one.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
But
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he just continues to impress at Cedar Lake Speedway. Giassi, I can imagine he's wishing that Glenn's wouldn't show up and race there anymore.
You know what's kind of neat though is the camaraderie them two have in Victory Lane. I think they both mentioned it, that, hey, I'm glad that James was second. We were both top two. And James kind of said the same thing, hey, I'm happy that my buddy Jesse won. So they're tight. And it's really good to see that the two top guys basically all year at Cedar are really tight, and they're both young guns.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, for sure. And getting back to that late model car count, it just, 19. And I started thinking, who was really missing? I was surprised Massengill went to King of Dirt because just that he's raced at Cedar Lake so many times this year. So I was a little surprised there. The Hannesteds weren't there.
Talked to Hannesteds, and I talked to Buddy, and I said, where you guys going? He says, we ain't going anywhere. And he said basically they weren't paying enough for their liking. I don't know what their deal is. Like, they just aren't. I got Bert muted there, so we can unmute. But they just did not feel like racing there. They're going to the red clay. They might even go this weekend, pay a little bit more. I don't think Jake Tim was there, so I don't know if he had
Jake Tim. Jim Brueggemann's had his late model out a little bit. Didn't see him there.
We'll get into this, but we'll just talk about it now. Canto went to Fergus. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And he was terrible on day one. He got in a heat that was kind of locked down, or in a qualifier that was locked down. And because of the format, he up and left and went to Cedar to try to get in. I think he made, obviously everybody made it in the feature, but he didn't have a great run at Cedar, but he did leave Fergus after a Thursday night show and go to Cedar Lake for the rest of it. Otherwise, it was not, but really there's no late models in Wisconsin. There's two WISSOTA late model tracks. There's Superior, there's Menominee. And then Cedar Lake it's not a WISSOTA late model track because it's not WISSOTA, but it's kind of it's the same format, the same rules, but that's it. Back when Eastern Wisconsin and WISSOTA late model racing really misses that, when you had the guys from Shawano and Seymour, and I guess it was Oshkosh back then, right? Oshkosh, Sunview Speed Zone, and some of them guys came over, but there's only a couple of them that ever make the trip anymore. And realistically, if you think back to all those big shows like the 100 when it was at Cedar, there was 10 or more of those guys from Eastern Wisconsin that would make the trip. So I don't know.
Yeah. There's, like you said, there's some trouble in late model world in dirt late models, and then we'll talk about later. Like, there's lots of asphalt late models in Wisconsin, and those guys just get better and better and keep moving up the ranks, and we're just trying to hold on to late model racing on dirt by the thread. So, anything else on the Legendary?
All right, we can have something on the late models there, or did you already mention it?
No,
you did. That was
the X Factor.
Yes.
Even with the black rims,
right?
Well, I guess one final thought on Cedar Lake is, like I said, Daryl Nelson had a good ride. 9th to 3rd.
Yeah,
on
and he was
Saturday
in
night.
second. He was in second till the end. He was running right on the bottom, and he said he went away a
Giassi
little
got
bit
him
at the
back.
end, and Giassi got him. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, we're coming down to the end here. Is he going to get a win in the late model in 2020?
It's getting tougher. It's getting tougher. I mean, he's been really good at Cedar. He's been like the third best car there for a while. Is if Jesse Glenn's and Giassi both like decide not to go this weekend, he could win. The Red Clay is a place that maybe he could win, and then I'm guessing he's done. Unless Superior races, they have that deal scheduled for the fall. If Mother Nature cooperates, he might get that one, but he doesn't have many races left to do. He's been there all year, but has 1 or 0 wins in that 44 in the late model. But still a good season, but I think that he'd trade it for a few wins for sure.
Yeah, it'd be many, many, many years since he did not win in a late model. Many, many years. I bet you 20 years or better. It's got to be, you know. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, interesting to see. All right, so Ryan, you are hot and heavy at the King of Dirt, right in Victory Lane, right everywhere you needed to be. I mean, thank you for all the Facebook Lives. You know, a lot of content was pumped out, so most of you got updates, you know, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, we found a little something with the setup. The car was good. I made it to Victory Lane after every single race at the King of Dirt at the I-94 Speedway. I mean, Sobraski, whatever. I was way more in Victory Lane than that guy was, right? But what a show. It was fun. Long races. So I got a whole bunch of notes, and I'm going to kind of go through this quickly. And I know you guys, first of all, Puka, did you watch any of that on Dirt Race Central?
Oh, yeah. I watched
Yep.
late, mods, supers.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch the late models every night, and
Okay.
I watch pretty much everything on for Saturday night.
All right, so I'll kind of roll through it. I mean, it was the Dick Johannick Memorial. Dick Johannick won Polydome. They used to remember the Polydome late model series that they had. It was kind of the World Racing. What was it called?
World Racing Group.
Yeah, yep. So he was involved with
World
that.
Racing League. Was it World Racing League?
No,
World Racing League.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of them.
It was World. No, WD. Was it WDRL?
World Dirt Racing League. WDLR or World Dirt Late Model Racing, right? WDLR.
WDRL.
Anyway, it was a late model series. All right, that's all I know. All right. So, fairly light crowd. They ran Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Kind of in, you know, it's hard to really tell because it's kind of like Cedar. It's got grandstands all the way around. The whole RV parking was jam packed. Format wise, I think that he probably won't do that same format again. A lot of complaints about the amount of laps in the qualifying races. 25 lap qualifying races, and if you remember, the qualifying races at I-94 paid $0, right? I think they got a $100 bill to the winner, and I don't think anybody else got anything. So with all of the laps that they're running, they were burning up tires like crazy. I talked to Burdick, and he said it cost me almost $2,000 to even run the whole show, and that's in a super. Yeah, so they burnt up a lot of tires. You know, so that was an issue. The track is hard, you know, and I don't know how deep the material is, but it seemed to rubber up really fast. The first 2 nights they had to farm it 3 times, I believe, to get the rubber off the track to get it back to racing. The features were amazing. I thought all the feature races on Saturday were fantastic. So whatever they learned the first 2 nights, it was definitely better on the 3rd night. Great facility. Guys, if you have not been to the I-94 Sure Step Speedway, it's beautiful. I mean, it's the Western Minnesota version of Cedar Lake. I mean, it is absolutely a phenomenal place. One thing that really stuck out, and Puka, you would have appreciated this, is the wrecker crew. I have never in my life seen a wrecker crew that fast every single time. I mean, the minute something happened, boom, they were on the track, and they were quick. There was one deal where a guy rolled over. Yeah, that's big hats off because the program went long, but if they would have had a wrecker crew like some other tracks have, they would have been racing at 5 in the morning, right? But absolutely impressed by the wrecker crew. I mean, it's not racing news, but it is racing news because people listening to this are race fans and they get sick of watching wreckers go up there and kind of dilly-dally around. I mean, they were on the ball. Another thing is, I'm just going to be honest with you. The atmosphere of invite time, I love it. I love it. It's like my favorite part of the whole racing season because you had that whole atmosphere the whole weekend. You had the camping, the bonfires, the barbecuing. You had the fist fights. Heck, there was a fist fight in the grandstands. You had,
Oh,
oh man, yeah, somebody got his ass kicked.
oh God.
There was a gal videotaping, and she's like, telling this guy, can you get out of the way? And it just escalated, and it got way out of hand. That guy got thumped pretty good. I don't know all the details, but you had all that. You had the bonfires. I mean, you know, up till 5, 6, 7 in the morning. I mean, the sun was coming up. Hot Carl was, I think, still drunk at race time. I'm not really sure. You know, so I mean, the whole atmosphere though of people all around. I mean, it brought me back to all the years that I raced. Actually, really, it brought me back to the years before I raced, because when I raced, I was focused on getting the car ready, hyper focused on racing. And here, it's like, man, I had great conversations with so many people that I ain't seen in a long time. So that was awesome. Now, we'll get to the racing now, okay? So that, I think, yeah, the only other thing is, like I said, I mean, it was 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Puka, you would have had an absolute meltdown. I mean, it was late. I did a recap show the one night, and I'm like, I ain't even going to do a recap show because it's like 2:33 in the morning by the time I was going to do one. I'm like, I think like I'm the only person on Facebook. Puka would have been getting up in the morning and watching that. But
before you get to the results, do you know how many people that grandstand seats total?
I don't. I want to say it's probably got to be 7,000, 8,000. I mean, it's
okay, because big. I mean, it looks huge. Because like I was telling you and by text, there's nobody there. It looks like there's 50 people there. But those
it does, because the camera angle. Dirt Race Central was there videotaping, and Ben is actually on the roof. Okay, so they got a roof, and he's on the roof videotaping. So when he's shooting down at the track, when you get the whole track, you don't get 99% of the grandstands. You just get the bottom third of it, and nobody sat in the bottom third. Why would you when you can sit up higher, see better? So, I mean, you're right. When I looked at the videotape, I'm like, it literally looks like there's 50 people here. You're exactly right. But I think Saturday was pretty good. I would say that they were close, 1,500 is what they could have, and I would say they were probably within striking distance of hitting that 1,500. I can see why the 100 would have been tough, because that's a double pay, and I don't think they would have had enough people there to cover that. But great car count, 244 cars, 7 classes. The late models, the biggest thing there is, where the heck were the Dakota cars, right? That's the question I have. I got on my list here, from North Dakota, you had Dan Dowling, you had Dustin Hapka, you had Cole Schill, and you had a 41, I don't remember his name, he's a rookie, and then 3 of the Myers were from Wapaton, North Dakota, so they're basically hometown guys. But that whole Grand Forks NLRA group, where were they? I have no idea. Like, none of them came down. South Dakota, you had Cole Searing, DJ Tesh, you had the 20T of Trevor Walsh, and then you had X, you had Chuck Swenson, old legend, right, coming back from racing. But you had no Ward, you had no Becker, right? You had no Arment, you had no Gelling, you had no Skorcheski. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it would have been the 100, you'd probably had another 15 late models, and they already had double of what Cedar Lake had, so you'd have probably seen your 50 late models if it was a Wissota 100. I don't know if they were shying away because of the format. I don't know. But, I mean, very few Dakota cars there, which I just don't get. I just don't understand. It was $5,087 to win. It was a good pay, and the payout for the feature was stellar. But I just don't get it. I don't understand. Ebert bolted. Dan Ebert, he's been looking really good, actually, in that car throughout. I mean, he had a win there from like 13th or whatever a few weeks back, and he doubled up. He won the mod and the late. Jeffrey Massengill and Cole Searing, as you can see, they're creeping up in the power rankings. Massengill, I think the first night, 13th to 2nd in the qualifier. And then, of course, on the feature night, I think he was started 8th, and he faded a little bit on the start, and then he charged up to the front late in that deal and got 2nd. Cole Searing, I believe, got 4th, Dave Moss 3rd. So again, the people that we've been talking about in the power rankings, they're on it. They're on it. There's no doubt. And we already talked about Kanta. So that's what I have on the late models there. You guys watched it. What did you take away from the late model racing at the King of Dirt?
Go ahead, Bert.
Well, I mean, for me, it was an opportunity for me to watch drivers that I hear you guys talk about a lot, but I don't know much about. So so for me, it was fun to watch that because, you know, like Dave Moss and, you know, some of these other drivers I've really never seen race before. But yeah, the racing was good. I mean, like you said, I mean, the track was hard and, I mean, black from top to bottom, but there were multiple lanes for drivers to race on. And who won again? I can't remember.
Dan Ebert.
Yeah, that's right. And Moss was second, and Moss could hang with the third. Okay, well, through the first part of the race, Moss could hang with them, but couldn't get by him.
My boy Massengill got him at the line, Bert. Moss was second till the end, and after Massengill, he got him at the line.
Too. I was watching. It's like I was watching, and where's Massengill? I don't see him. And then at the end, there he was.
Well, you can hear on the tape. If you're listening to this on the podcast, jump on the show because I just played the clip. But you can actually hear Ron say, "Where did Massengill come from?" Because I mean, he was back in like seventh with a few laps to go, and he's going through, and he's like, "Whoa, Massengill to the inside of Moss," and he took second away. So he really came on at the end of that race.
Yeah, let me just say, Ryan, you did a great job, and that announcer I think does a great job too. He's got that real raspy. He's got like that. Is he a DJ? Or disc jockey? I mean, or
he announces. He actually announces multiple tracks. He does Wilmer, I-94, Viking Speedway. He's been announcing forever and ever and ever and ever. He's like their Freddie Fran down there, is what he is.
Okay, yeah. So he does a great job, and yeah, like I said, Moss I think continues to impress. A guy that hasn't had a ton of time in the late model, so that was one thing I took from it. And you know, Don Shaw Racing. I was wondering if he would race. I was a bit surprised. I wasn't, but I was. You know, it's a slippery slope when you got a promoter out there on the track. I don't think he finished even feature night, but did he win one of the qualifying nights?
Well, he did win one of the qualifiers. He should have won the first night. I think he was going to win. He was either going to win or he was right in second. I'd have to look again. But he broke a fan blade, and then it started to vibrate on him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm up here. I got to stay out here." And it vibrated so bad, the freaking water pump fell off. So he was done. So, yeah, he struggled. He pulled off in the feature. He was fast, but just too many little things happened. And he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off all weekend.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be tough, yeah. So, but no, I agree. It looks like a fantastic facility. I'd like to, get down there at some point. Now, there's the I-94 in Fergus. There was another I-90 or I-94 in Fergus. Wasn't there another I-94 in Sauk Center?
Sauk Center, same owner. So a little history on both of them. They were dirt. They were both originally dirt. Dick Johannick owned both. So they were both asphalt for a long time. And then I-90, I think Sauk Center went back to dirt first, and then Fergus Falls went back to dirt. And I-94 in Sauk, they're both I-94 Speedway because obviously they're right on I-94. And Sauk Center closed down a few years ago now. That place is no longer even a racetrack.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, because I remember you could see the Sauk Center one from the highway there, and then I remember when it went asphalt and all that. So, okay. But, yeah, looks like a great facility. That'll be on the wish list someday to get down there.
Yeah, you got to get there. The modifieds, of course, we talked about Dan Ebert. He won the modified feature, class of the field. He was bolted, but was he the class of the field? Okay, because there's two guys. One, Don Isons, won a qualifier day one. He had a straightaway lead on day two. I think he started like third row. He would have been in the redraw for sure. Absolutely bolted, grenaded an engine on the last lap, and so he was done. The Iceman no luck there for the Iceman. But another guy, Johnny Broking. Okay. Now, that was my preseason pick to win it all this year. He's going to be the national champ. Of course, there's no Wissota points. He did win 3 track championships, but let's be honest, when he raced against the cream of the crop most of the year, he was on the outside looking in. I mean, he was there, but not there. His stars had to align. He just wasn't very good. Well, they changed a whole bunch of stuff on their car, trying some new technology and some new stuff, and it was just not very good all year long. They went back to their old setup for this race, and that thing was freaking bolted. In fact, he got to second. He got by Kane and lap traffic. He got to second. He started to track down Ebert. Yellow comes out, right? James Trantina, who runs a mod, actually owns Collins Brothers Towing, actually a new owner of the Granite City Speedway. Okay, he just bought that.
Ooh.
Yep, so he's got all kinds of stuff going on. Well, he's the main sponsor for Ebert. Well, they just lapped him, right? He pulls up next to Ebert on the restart, and he's like pointing, like, get to the bottom, get to the bottom. So on the restart, Ebert about runs over the nose of Johnny Broking. Broking slides back a few spots, and it completely messed him up. And Ebert got a good run, went back to the high side, drove away. But had he not done that, Johnny Broking was driving by him and winning that race. I'm telling you, he was absolutely rocket fast. And I was talking to Bob about that today, and he's like, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. He goes, but I guarantee if I was in the same situation and Johnny was there and he lapped me, I would have done the same thing. So I get it, you know. He goes, but it just stung a little bit because he had a legitimate shot to win. But I talked to Johnny and Bob, and they're like, man, the cars, they actually feel way better. I wish we would have went back a long time ago. But hats off to Dan Ebert. I mean, class act operation to win the King of Dirt in both. I mean, that was over a $9,000 payday in 2 features for them. So pretty cool to see.
Yeah, total stud. Yeah, I kind of thought Kane would take that one, but you know, he led. I think he probably led the most laps, but he just couldn't get her done. Bert, any comments on the mods?
Actually, I didn't watch the mod feature.
Okay. All right, Ryan.
I'm gonna boycott Bert. I'm gonna boycott Bert. Seriously. The Midwest mods. No, yeah. You know, so again, coming into the weekend, Shane Sobraski was at 698 career feature wins, and he was driving the Easy One car for Randy Loggy. And he actually he faded back a little bit. Corey Stork, he's a young gun. He runs at Viking Speedway. He runs at Fergus. He was just humping on the high side, right? Yellow comes out, and I'm telling you, this might have been the race of the night because Sobraski rolled inside, and Sobraski take the lead, and charging back by him would be Corey Stork on the high side, and they swapped the lead back and forth. And the cushion was a little bit like a curb. Like if you hit it wrong, you'd shove the nose, and Stork did that just a couple too many times to basically be in position to win. And he was fast. He was right with Shane. But after the Midwest Mod feature was done, feature win number 699 of his career, Sobraski got her done. So that was a pretty cool deal. Now, before we get into the supers, one of the heavy favorites getting into that deal, and this is going to be another one of those fans, you make the call. And again, if you're listening to this on podcast, go to the Facebook page, watch the video clip that I'm talking about right now, and then you decide what you think happened here. Okay, now, the track champion, Brock Grunwald, this guy's a wheelman. He wins a lot of races, rubs a few people the wrong way once in a while, and I think that's probably why I like him. He's a lot like me. He's not afraid to use you up a little bit if he has to. Well, on day one, he was patient at the beginning, and then all of a sudden he started charging to the front, right? And he slide jobbed like 3 guys, like a Tyler Erb slide job, getting into 3, cleared them all, got to the outside, and B-Mods, guys, keep in mind, this is B-Mods, right? 4 wide down the front straightaway. I literally turned my head. I'm like, this ain't going to be good. Like something's going to happen here for sure. It's B-Mods. They can't be side by side, let alone 4 wide. And mayhem occurs getting into turn 1. Grunwald gets spun around. Everybody piles up. Grunwald to the back. Now, you just watch the clip there, fans. You make the call if he got the right call or not. And let's just say he was not really happy. Okay? His bad luck continued. Night number 2 in the qualifier, I think he ripped a J-bar out. I believe it was a J-bar. But he DNF'd on night number 2. Night number 3, he's in the B main. And, you know, he's kind of coming up through the field, but you could tell he just wasn't very good. And there's a restart in this Grady Shear guy. This is my Ryan's rant. Again, you make the call. I'm playing this clip here, too, so you can look at it and you decide what you think. But I'm telling you right now that if I was Brock Grunwald, I would have taken a sledgehammer over to this guy's car and I would have smashed the carburetor off, and then I would have kicked him in the freaking teeth. Okay? That's what I would have done. All right? Like, this guy's a moron. Now, I don't know their history or whatever, right? But he, plain as day, drove through Grunwald coming off of 4. He didn't wreck them there, so they get down into turn 1, and as you can see on the video, he just wham blasts them into the fence coming into turn 1. How Grunwald even finished that race, I have no idea. Then they black flag him, and the clown goes down the front straightaway waving to the crowd, posts all over Facebook. He goes, man, you know, little bit of revenge, $20 well worth it, right? You know, and I mean, it was wide open, like he did it on purpose. That Facebook post has now been deleted. I wish I would have screenshotted it, right? But here's the deal: if you got a problem with somebody, take them out back. Let's go, right? But using a car as a battering ram, that's a good way to get somebody hurt. That is absolutely uncalled for. Wisoda needs to take a look at that tape. He, in my opinion, he needs to be suspended, fined. He needs to be there needs to be something done about that deal, because when you're intentionally going out there trying to stuff people into the wall, if Wisoda ain't going to handle it, the dude needs an ass kicking is what he needs. Somebody needs to just like throttle stomp him, you know, or maybe my buddy Lauren Inman get on and do a carb stomp like he did in Proctor one night. Something needs to happen, because I don't know him at all, right? But what he did there, I'm telling you, that was kind of a BS move right there. He's lucky Brock Runwall is not a big brawler type of guy, because that guy would have been picking up teeth for sure.
He must be a Tyler Erb fan.
Maybe. Oh, he hit him a hell of a lot harder than Tyler Erb did. Tyler Erb tried to tee him up, but this guy like literally teed him up. I mean, it was an ugly deal. Did you guys get to see that yourself?
I didn't see that.
No, I didn't.
That's crazy.
All right, so
but I will.
Again,
I'm excited to watch
you'll be able to see it. I just played the clip here. I mean, so you can take a good look at it here, and you can kind of decide what you think. Now, you know, and then there was a couple other classes there. I'm going to talk about the super stocks in detail, you know, but, you know, the limited late models, again, Puka's favorite class. They were mayhem, and that feature was about 3 times longer than the rest because they destroyed stuff, right? The short trackers, one thing I like about Fergus, their short trackers are basically Hornets, but they're non-sanctioned, which is smart. That was a good race. So the street stock race was really good. I thought maybe Justin Vogel was going to get her done. He came up a little bit short. But the super stock race, this is where the drama occurred again, right? Shane Sabraski coming into the super stock feature. He has 699, and he has 699 career wins, 39 on the year. He starts 4th. He hits the gas on the start, goes straight backwards. And the track, I mean, the bottom, they had farmed it. It was still greasy down there. Yellow comes out. Here's Shane parked on the front straightaway. He's like ready to brawl with an official. He's like trying to get him to come over. Shane don't get mad, but he was mad. Like, and then he's like, they said, get in line. He's like, well, I better think better of this deal and get back in line. And then what happens next is just craziness. Dave Moss jumps out to the lead. It looks like he's going to be tough to beat. Runs over something, right rear flat. He's done. Don Ishins gets the lead. That car looked absolutely bolted, overheated. He pulls off. Kevin Burdick from 8th or 9th drives into the lead. He looked really good. And then here comes the 7A, chasing them down, tracking them inside. I mean, they're battling, slides them. Burdick gets underneath, some contact getting into one. And you can see on the tape, you know, Sabraski kind of, he didn't do anything wrong. He came in, he was arcing to the bottom, and I don't think Burdick anticipated him going low. So Burdick got into him, and he kind of woed up to let him go. He didn't bankboard past him. But at the end of the day, Shane Sabraski, career win, 700. Congratulations. I mean, that's I thought I won a lot of races, and he's like way more than me. I mean, and he's a class act. Couldn't happen to a better guy. But the end of the race was very interesting. Did you guys get to see the end of this one?
Yes, I did.
So
this one I did see.
There you go. Super stocks. I love you again, right? So as you can see on the tape here that we just played, as you can see, Timmy Johnson slide jobs into second, and you know Timmy's going to chuck some sliders. Burdick's chucking sliders. That's just the way it is. But they come into 1 and 2 on the last lap. Timmy slides up. Burdick rolls the middle. Brandon Dolman on the bottom, and they come down the back straightaway. A little contact made partway down. They get into 3, and there goes Timmy Johnson upside down. And he was okay, which is good. Tore up the car pretty good. Sounds like it's going to be fixable, but they were not happy. And again, I got 2 different clips here that you can see. I just showed the in-car version of Jeff Krause, who, good job to him, by the way, 22nd to 4th. Great run for Cruiser. Wow. But he had the in-car camera, and you can see the angle here from his, and you can kind of determine what happened there to cause that rollover. And then, of course, the footage we have here from Dirt Race Central that shows the whole overview. So there's a couple things here where you can look at. Fans, you make the call on this one. And just put in the comments what you think. But let's just say the Super Stock feature did not disappoint. Shane Sabraski at 700 feature wins on his career and counting. And he's at 40. I said 50. I said 50 or more. You guys said under. He's still got about a month left. I tell you what, it's going to be close.
It's doable. Yeah, it's doable. Yeah, and that wreck, that rollover, I was surprised. I mean, I'm watching that. I was surprised as heck that happened. That was almost like a NASCAR rollover, where they kind of get the noses under their full speed. It's late down the straightaway. You don't see a lot of rolls early in the straightaway, right? You see them down. And, I mean, you're talking about who make the call. Who is the potential blamee on that one? Is it Burdick, or who was the other guy that was involved that got spun around?
They called it on Timmy, okay? And Burdick was, at the time of the rollover, was already ahead of them guys in clear.
Yeah.
There was a little contact because Timmy slid, and you guys make the call on what you think. It looked to me like that was minimal, but then Brandon Dolman in the 0, which is Les Dolman's kid, he ran good, no worse than third. All right, this kid's young, and his worst finish for the whole weekend was third. So he was fast all weekend in that dirt dueler. But him and Timmy got together, and it got pretty tight. Now, what Timmy got lucky on is a wall opening there. He just missed that. So he could have hit that abrupt end, and that could have been really ugly.
Yeah, right, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, that was I was stunned when I saw that, happen. And I was like, I had to hit replay, and yeah, I'm just glad everyone's okay, because they were full tilt, full speed.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So all right, anything else on the King of the Dirt?
Bert, any comments? You watched some of that race, and what was your overall thoughts of the racing at I-94, that Super Stock deal, or any of the above?
Well, the Super Stock deal, those 3 cars were slicing and dicing for about 2 laps, and like Puka said, they're putting their noses underneath because they're going high and low, and they're not afraid to put the nose underneath the rear end of the car. But from what I apologize, I have to use numbers because I'm not familiar with the names yet. But the 30 car was in the middle, and it looked like he going down the backstretch, and he pulled out ahead of those 2 other cars. And to me, it looked like the car on the outside maybe thought that once that car was out of the way, he could go down low, and the car that was down low went high, and then they both made contact, and all hell broke loose.
It sure did, and none of them lifted because it was the last lap, and they wanted that spot. And I've raced against all of them except for Brandon Dolman because he's pretty young, and none of them guys give an inch. But fortunately, everybody was okay. A lot of hurt feelings after that one. That's, again, I say Super Stock racing, it's roller derby on dirt. It's a high contact sport, right? They don't frown on gouging out there. It's actually encouraged, and that's just the way it is.
But I also want to say that, I know that you've talked about Sabraski all year, and so I've never really seen him race before, so I was looking forward to this, and I'm watching it, and we're into the race, and it's like, he's in 9th place. This guy's not that good. But then at the end, there he was, and the good drivers always rise to the top at the end. And he proved that. They
do, and watch that B-Mod race because he was driving the Easy 1 car in that, and just look at his car control. Just incredible driver.
All right, well, we're going to head west out to Kosiski's I-80 Speedway down in Nebraska. And we had the I-80 Nationals, which took place of the Knoxville Late Model Nationals, Thursday, Friday, Saturday program. Bert, why don't we start with you on this one? Lucas Oil Racing, pretty damn good. So, again, we talked about I-94 is impressive. It's like Fairbury's impressive. This place continues to impress.
Yep, and Tim McCready continues to impress in big dollar paying races. He came out the victor, passing Jimmy Mars very late in the race. And, that was, I don't know if you guys watched it and watched the reaction of the crowd. The crowd they were on their feet at the end of the race when McCready won that thing. So, it's always good to see the crowd get excited at a race. And Ricky Thornton Jr. continues to impress when he's in a late model. Let's get this guy in a late model on a more regular basis. Yeah. And Kyle Strickler again, he's really proven, as Ryan says, it's the mod guys. But yeah, I mean, Strickler's proving once again that he deserves to be in the late model ranks. And we were talking last week about, will this win at Eldora catapult, is Jonathan Davenport back? Well, he didn't show it this last weekend with started 15th and finished 15th. And the other mention I want to make is Jared Landers back in a late model. That was good to see, the 777. Yeah, and he finished 20th on Saturday night.
You talk about Davenport, he didn't even make the feature the second night.
I saw that.
Yeah, he didn't even qualify. So that just blows me away. Bishop coming off the win at Fairbury, he goes down there and he can't even crack the top 5. No top 5s all weekend for Brandon Shepard, which I thought was interesting. Strickler, a 1st and 8th and a 5th. But Jimmy Owens, even though he came up a little bit short, a 5th, a 1st, and a 2nd. Now, T-Mac, is he the only guy? I feel like I should have this in front of me, and I don't. How many people have won shows, more than one show that's paid over 30 grand? Is he the only guy that has a couple crown jewels this year that has multiple, or is there somebody else in there that maybe has 2 also?
Well, it'd be Jimmy if there's anybody, right? I mean, it's got to be Jimmy if there's
I was thinking Overton, Jimmy. I feel like they all have 1. I could be wrong. That'll be something I'll put Bert on for a homework. Think about all the crown jewels. We'll talk about that next week because there are no crown jewels next week, just a bunch of regular racing, so to speak. But I feel like T-Mac is really, when the big money shows are on the line, I think he's been a step above.
Yeah, who won the Diamond Nationals, and then what's the race that goes along with the Diamond National? Oh, the Show Me. Gosh, I can't remember. But I know that Strickler winning Thursday night was the 19th different winner in the series this year. So there have been a lot of winners. But, of course, a 600-ish or 500-ish point lead for Owens over McCready in so that's not even close. But, yeah, you bring up an interesting question there on exactly.
And Owens he's there every night. That guy he's an incredible driver. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's very smart, but he's got that emotional intelligence where he's just even keeled all the time. You notice with Jimmy, not really high highs, not really low lows. And you think about some of them guys like Davenport and stuff like that, they're volatile. So when things don't go right, maybe that's why they're not quite as consistent. Somebody that's got that demeanor of a Jimmy Owens, that really pays off when something, when things are on the line.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest winners, like I said, looking at that crowd, like Bert talked about the enthusiasm, a lot of fist pumping when McCready crossed the line. The biggest winner this weekend might have been the World of Outlaw Late Model Series. They've proven that they can have a couple of big late model events. They had the one in July. Now they got the one here middle of September. Who knows? Or maybe there ends up being more than one. I kind of would doubt that there would be more than one Lucas race just because that's the furthest west they go. But, of course, the Outlaws come through. They come up into Minnesota. They dip it over into North Dakota. And I know that has traditionally been in line, and that's kind of where they went from last year was they kind of went there back over to, when they came to North Dakota, then they dropped down into I-80. But they come back over into Iowa and such. The Kosiskis might be looking at this, doing the math, saying, hey, look, we're credible now with the late models. Maybe we can handle, like Cedar Lake with a Masters and a USA Nationals. Maybe we can handle 2 programs instead of just 1.
This was a Lucas race, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm just saying, because the Outlaws have a tendency to come into Iowa a little bit more.
Right.
And, of course, like I said, they come up and do the swing into North Dakota, too, where, more of that Lucas stuff, seems to be a little bit further east. So, who knows? Maybe they say, hey, we can do them both. They do the sprint show. So I know you get a little better deal if you do the late models and the sprints. So they proved to themselves that they can do 2 shows. So maybe we'll have to keep an eye on the schedule next. And I don't think any of the drivers are going to complain about going back to I-80.
No, that's late model country, too. I mean, when you talk Kosiski, that's a legendary dirt late model name, right? And so, I mean, they're going to do what they can to put on some big shows. And, the racing was good. And, I didn't watch as much of it as I would have liked to, but I did catch the highlights. I watched the features. But, you're right on the money. They might be able to sneak another big crown jewel type event in there.
Anything else, Bert?
No, that's all I have on that one.
All right, so we're going to go up to our preview section in just a minute, but first we have to thank our friends right here, Dirt Track Supply, home of Aero Chassis. Now, Ryan, would you agree with me? Is this the time of year as a racer, looking back to your racing years, is this the time of year where guys kind of might be thinking, hey, what I'm going to start doing next year? Do they start looking at next year and thinking maybe a chassis change is in the works?
For some wait till like February to figure that out and then complain that their chassis builder didn't get them a car in time, right? So you should be thinking about a chassis right now. And of course, Trevor, they build a great car. Trevor and Ron Anderson over there. Trevor ran very well all year long at the Casino Speedway, so yeah, check them guys out. And invitational season, they got a double header coming up out there. If you need anything, get a hold of Trevor at Dirt Track Supply over in Watertown, and he'll take care of you. They got about everything that you can imagine. If they don't have it in stock, they can get it, right? So they do a great job over in Watertown, South Dakota.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Perfect. And thank you, dirttracksupply.com. All right. So we want to start with Eldora and the sprints, the Governor's Reign.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy Keith, and he's excited. I mean, the car counts last week for the World of Outlaws, they weren't very good. They were low 20s. But Keith said, hey, here's the deal. It's gonna be good this week, because I believe it's $10,000 to win tomorrow night, $52,000 to win pay-per-view, no fans, it's on Flow, but anybody in sprint cars is there. I mean, it's gonna be outstanding racing, and then that's immediately followed by 3 World of Outlaw races back to back to back within a couple hours away over on that side, Pennsylvania, I think, over in that area. So there's 5 nights. And the first 2 nights are all-star sprints. The next 3 nights are World of Outlaws. But I'm guessing you're going to see big car counts at all of the events.
Awesome.
The question I have, though, Puka, is Kyle Larson going to steal another big one?
Well, if I was a betting guy, I know who I'd put my money on. It'd be Kyle Larson.
So let's just make the pick. Let's just make the picks here. You took Kyle Larson, Bert?
Do I get to pick Kyle Larson also?
Sure, you can pick Kyle. I'm gonna be probably a little bit foolish here, right? Because everybody should pick Kyle Larson, but you know who I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick Brad Sweet. He's leading the points. He's got an 8-point lead right now. I'm going to pick him to upset Kyle Larson and get it done for $52,000 to win on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. So good luck to all the competitors, and thankfully Eldora. I mean, this might be it for Eldora for the year, then, huh?
I think so.
I mean, it's something. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
It'll kind of be the checkered flag for them for the season. All right, moving on. Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday was sprints.
Yeah, this 5 nights in a row. They got the 2 nights, like I said, the All-Star sprints at Eldora.
Oh, yeah.
And then those 3 World of Outlaw shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're all only a couple hours away. They're all like right there. So really, there's 5 full nights of racing within a decent driving distance for the sprint car guys.
Okay, and then the Woo Lates in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's nothing major going on. Just both the Woo and the Lucas, they just got a couple of their so-called regular $10,000-$12,000 to win shows. It's Friday, Saturday for both of them this week for the World of Outlaw late models and the Lucas Oil late models. Down south, a place where you can see, some of them southern guys, maybe a Dale McDowell, is they got the Cotton Picket 100 at the mag. So I think you're going to see most of your regional guys there. This is going to be one of them weekends where you got the Lucas guys are at the Lucas race, the World of Outlaw guys are at the World of Outlaw race, the Southern region guys are at that race. It's going to be pretty spread out. I'm expecting, my buddy Jeff said, realistically 25 to 35 cars at each one. You're not going to see huge car counts at any of these, but you're going to be able to see a whole lot of racing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd say. I'd say like in Overton, I'd put him at Magnolia. Like I said, Dale McDowell at the mag. Probably Madden at the mag, something like that. And then you'll have your Lucas race. No, that Lucas race is actually the Jackson 100. So okay. I don't know. I guess I didn't really look. That one might be. Did you look at the purses? That one might be 15 to win. I'm not sure.
12 or 15. It's not one of the big 20, 30, 40. Right. It's not one of those. But yeah, it might be a little bit more than the normal 12, but not much.
Yeah. It's just a little pizzazz, and I think it's at the winner is all. All right, the 49th annual Stock Car Stampede, Jamestown, North Dakota, 49th annual. So we better plan on getting there next year for the 50th. We'll have to do the 50th World. We'll have to do the 50th in Jamestown. Burke, we're going to have to start telling the spouses now. We're going to be on the road a lot next fall.
Well, you better get the budget up for the show too then.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that die-cast is going to help a lot. I mean, $10,000 advertiser gets a free die-cast. It's a pretty nice one. It's an original piece. You know. Go ahead, Ryan. You've raced this. I watched you race. I watched you win the Stampede about 99, 2000. That was probably the last time I was there.
I got a couple wins out there. Kind of a funny story. And he might not, well, we laugh about it now. But I may have been a little bit of Tyler Urbish back in the day myself. When things went wrong, I kind of teed you up. Here I'm giving a guy crap about wrecking a guy on a racetrack, right? And one night, so I won the Stampede twice out there in the Super Stocks. And I was racing against Dustin Strand, who is the NLRA champion this year. Hell of a race car driver. The guy's he's up in the top 5, as you can see in our power rankings. He's going to be there this weekend. Well, we're out there battling for the lead with Todd Carter, and in my eyes, what happened is Dustin Strand spun out Carter, and I was coming through, and I hit the brake so hard it broke my brake pedal off, and I got hit, and it bent my stub, and I was like mad. I'm mad. I'm racing for a national championship. My car weekend's done, right? And I approached him on the scales, and I'm like, I should take you outside and like kick your ass. Like I was pissed. Like I was mad, right? And he does one of these deals here. Like I'm like, now I'm really mad. And he pulls up, he turns the car, and I hold the throttle wide open. So Joanne at Jamestown, if you're watching this, I did it, okay? And I didn't get kicked out. Thank God nobody saw it. But I teed him up wide open with the four-wheeler, and I smoked into his quarter panel. I spun him around. I folded his quarter panel into the deck tin and all the way into the fuel cell, and his eyes got like that big, and like he wanted to get me kicked out, but no official saw it. And I'm like, I'm done anyway. I'm leaving. But I ended up winning the national points that year, and that could have been a potential suspension if somebody would have seen it. So, yeah, I was a little bit nervous about that. I'm like, God dang, I'm hoping nobody has a camera, or hopefully nobody saw that deal, because I teed them up good. But I would say that this year, I know that Provenzino's going out there. I know that Massengill's going out there as well. Both of them, Pravo's looking pretty good in that new car, by the way. He was pretty racy. He was in the top 5 for the better part of the feature, slipped back to 7th at the end. Massengill, he's been really good all year long. But in my eyes, the odds-on favorite to win out there has to be Dustin Strand to maybe double up out there at the Stampede. He's been really good.
I'm going with Schill.
You going with
the
Cole
44.
Schill or okay? I was gonna say Lance Schill or Cole Schill. So you're gonna go with Cole Schill. Yep.
I'm gonna go with Cole Schill. I think. Yeah.
Yep.
I think he won it last year. Now, well, actually, they're doing 2 shows this year. I think it's just the first time.
They are.
Yeah, 2 complete shows. $2K to win, $250 to start. Pretty decent deal.
Yep. Better for the fans, better for the drivers for sure. Bert, several of the people that you saw at I-94 are going to be there. Who's your pick to win it out at Jamestown?
Will Syrian be there?
Oh, I think he's going to go to Watertown.
Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
That's a good pick, though. My dark horse in that deal is Massengill. That's my dark horse.
Well, he was just going to pick Massengill.
You can have Massengill. You can pick Massengill.
I'll take Massengill.
That's not a dumb pick. I mean, he's due. He's got 1 win, but he's got a pile of top 3s and 4s. He's had a really good invitational season for sure. So Puka's got Cole Schill. I got Strand. You have Jeffrey Massengill. And I'm not sure if it's being streamed. If it is, we'll post it on the page. I think maybe Darn TV, but I'm not sure. But hopefully, because there's some good racing out there in Jamestown, North Dakota.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised, Massey. I am, but I'm not. And once I thought about it, I'd heard he was going out that way. And again, just like going to Fergus, he has so many laps on Cedar Lake this year. And of course, we're going to preview Cedar Lake here in a minute. So I'm thinking he's going to go to Cedar Lake. But then I thought more about it and said, well, he's selling cars now. So, I mean, you got to kind of move around a little bit when you're selling cars too. So, but at first, when I first heard it, I thought.
He sells them kryptonites. I was asking him about that. A kryptonite roller, top of the line, their best deal that they got, their kryptonite roller is less than a B-Mon.
What?
Yes. The kryptonite
labor's that cheap in West Virginia?
is less than a B-Mon. So racers, if you're wondering, man, should I get a B-Mod? No, Hot Carl says that class sucks. So no, you should not get a B-Mod. So the fact is, though, you don't, I mean, I was blown away. Like they're Freddie Carpenter and Tyler Carpenter, they're like, we know what it costs to race. We don't have a big budget. We don't believe in a $40,000-$50,000 roller. We don't believe in that. And guess what? Then Kryptonites have been bolted. Carpenter, obviously, both them win races. Massengill's been most consistently up front with a Kryptonite. You don't need that $40,000-$50,000 race car. Nothing against them cars, but you know, there's a lot of money being thrown around. Maybe it's not necessary to do so. So a little shout out for Kryptonite by Jeffrey Massengill.
Wow, very impressive. That's shocking. I mean, all right. So then we talked a little bit about the aforementioned Casino Speedway, but it sounds like just regular purse. I mean, I was looking for some purse deals this weekend. I said purse to be announced.
They enhanced it, and I'm going on World Tour, the One to Go Show World Tour. So I'm in my home away from home here for the next couple weeks and getting her all cleaned up. And I'm heading west. I'm going to Casino.
Sweet.
And I get to be the announcer out there for the. I don't even know what it's called here. You can look up what's it called.
It's called the Autumn Classic.
The Autumn Classic, the third annual.
Classic.
So, but they enhanced the purse. I believe it's a little bit enhanced on Friday, and it's a pretty good purse there on Saturday. Not huge, but I believe it's $1,500 to win. I think it's going to be $1,200, I think, to win for the modified. So they enhanced everything up there, and I'm going to go visit my friend, our friend Trevor, over at Dirt Track Supply. So we'll give you guys a little inside look of Dirt Track Supply when I'm out there. I'll make sure that I do that. And, you know, I'm excited to get out there. I haven't been out to that place. We've watched a lot of it. We talked a lot about that. It's the baddest bull ring in the Midwest. I mean, that's a turn and burn up on the wheel, high side hustling, diamond crossovers, a little bit of carnage. Excited to get out there to the Casino Speedway. And Bert, I'm going to let you pick first because you've already mentioned his name. All right, I'll let you pick first on who you think's going to win the late models.
I'll take Cole Searing.
I'll take Cole Searing for 300, please. Yes, Cole Searing. Okay. All right. So yeah, you're taking Cole Searing. That's a hell of a pick. He's been on it. But I don't know who's all going to be out there. But I don't even know if he's going to be there. I have a bad habit of picking people that don't show up, right? But if he's there, I think another guy is Tyler McDonald. Both of them rookies. I'm going to take the 5M.
All right, boy. I would pick Trevor Anderson, but I think he's going to be too busy selling parts with all those cars there. So I'm going to go with that Skorczewski.
Oh, Josh Skorczewski. Yep. Skorczewski. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Skorczewski. Yep. Okay. He's no
slouch.
Yeah. He's no
and then
slouch.
Of course, you got the Wards. You got Becker, right? There'll be a good field of cars out there for sure.
You got Armand. Gelling.
Yep. I'm trying to get Brokings to head there with the mod and or with the mods. And we'll see what happens there. So hopefully I have some local flavor out there as well.
All right, yeah. And then the Fall Frenzy at Cedar Lake, kind of a new event taking the place. They jumped on the weekend now that the Punky Manor, Menominey's been closed, Red Cedar Speedway. So, $3,500 to win for late models on that one, $300 to start. So another solid purse. I'm wondering now. That's what I thought of during this week. Did anybody you think they just let some people leave their haulers there for the week? Park it, leave it, take your car home?
There is nobody leaving their hauler at that place. I can tell you. They're taking it home. They're getting it dialed in, come back and have another run at this deal. But yeah, I mean, this is a one and done deal. They've already announced that, when the whole COVID deal is done and we get back to life as we knew it, the Punky Manor Challenge of Champions will take place at the Red Cedar Speedway next year. This event will no longer be an event, right? This is just kind of something they put together with the folks. I think the folks in Menominee helped. I think they kind of worked together to make this event happen. So I know Jimmy Mars was involved with it, but I'm picking first, and I'm taking Jesse Glenn's.
Go ahead, Bert.
I will take Giassi.
Oh gosh, you two. Well, you know what, man?
Puka, you want the field?
Nelson, then.
I was going to say, Puka, you want the field? All right. He'll take Giassi. I'll take Glenn's. You can have everybody else.
I'm going to go with Daryl Nelson. Like I said, he's been running good. At this peak of the weekend, he cracks it. I mean, it's almost like it's bound to happen. So
I want him to win. That's who I'm cheering for. Don't get me wrong. I like them other guys too, but I'm a homer. He's a homie. He's one of our guys from up north. Daryl's a great guy. I want Daryl Nelson to win. So that's who I'm cheering for. But if he beats the 7X and 11, I'm telling you, he's doing something right, because them two are bolted at Cedar Lake.
Well, and hopefully, last weekend with that Legendary, they got, screwed in a way because, of course, the Dirt Kings had that race, which is not typical. So maybe some of those guys, Mike Mullins, if you're listening, take that late model and get to Cedar Lake so we can see your race a little bit more.
Well, actually,
all right, and then
actually, Dirt Kings has a race at Wilmot on Saturday night. So
is that this Saturday or is it the following week?
Oh, you're right. It's the 3rd. You're right.
Yeah, it's the same weekend as the Red Clay Classic.
Yep, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So is that when they're going to finally name the points champ in that deal?
For the Dirt Kings?
Bert?
Yeah, it'll be after the Wilmot race. That's the last race for Dirt Kings.
Okay, so that is the final race. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't realize they went so late in the year. Jeez, oh man.
Well, normally they don't go
all right,
this late, but 2020 has been a strange year.
All right, so last night I got some racing in, guys. I went to the Bemidji Speedway. Been wanting to get there all year. We've talked about it a little bit on here. It was like turning the clock back 20 years. Yeah, exactly. Chicken at the Chicken Shack, the same boardwalk when you walk in. The grandstands are 40 years old. Nothing's changed. The flagman, no safety material. There's not even a glass. He's just in shorts, no uniform, no fluorescent colors. Still taking pictures of every driver when they win. And I just found out about this event from the Carlsons in Grand Rapids. They said, well, we're going to go race at the Prelude next weekend. I said, what Prelude? He said, well, Prelude to the Stampede. So I was at the Prelude last night. So the aforementioned Prelude to the Stampede will be held Saturday and Sunday this coming weekend at the Bemidji Speedway, a long-running event. I think the last time I went to that was in 1997. I saw Joe Pravo race in like a Pitman's race Jeff Tardy's, or John Tardy. It might have even been John Tardy at that time, racing in his super stock in like a Pitman's race. So that was a lot of fun that night. Freezing cold back in 1997. And then also Jim Falls, are they racing 2 days, Ryan, or one?
Yeah, they're running, I believe, Friday, Saturday over there. They actually had it planned before Cedar Lake did, but didn't announce nothing. And the day Cedar Lake announced their event, the next day Jim Falls announced theirs. So, yeah, they got the Stampede in Bemidji. You got Eagle Valley Speedway in Jim Falls, Wisconsin. The big ones in my mind are Casino, Jamestown, Cedar Lake are kind of the big ones in our area. Hopefully the other shows do good. What was the crowd like in Bemidji? Was they have a pretty good crowd?
It was, it was good. And I was talking with John from DRC, and I said, what's this? You come here every week. He said, this crowd is light compared to most weeks. And, you turn around, of course, you can smell that chicken in the stands, right, the whole night. And I'm sitting directly, kind of peeking back, like it's right behind me. There was always a line. There was always people there. But, there's something about it that is just simple. They had 8 classes, on this little quarter mile. But the amazing thing on that little quarter mile, they in most classes strung out pretty fast. We had Brian Vital and another gentleman, I don't know who he was, race side by side in the supers in the heat. Was pretty good. The mods, they had 7. The sprints put on a pretty good show. They had 12, the Renegade sprints. But yeah, and he said the crowds have been good, but they start at 4:00. And when you have a chicken shack that sells great chicken and now shrimp, if you get people there at, if people know that, say, well, heck, let's go to the races. Let's eat supper there. So I guess sounds like they've had a really good year. Flagmen on both sides of the track, Ryan.
Oh, really?
2 flag stands. 2 flag stands. Yeah.
Really?
On both ends. Yeah, right where the traffic light is on the back stretch is now a flag stand too. He's over there waving his flag. I said, you got to go. It's like just checking the place out. It brings you back in time.
I've made a few laps around the
flags they used 30 years ago.
The atmosphere there's pretty laid back. I mean, it's a unique place. Mm-hmm. People have a lot of fun there. I mean, if you're looking for like epic racing like Fairbury, not your place, right? But if you're looking for a fun atmosphere with some great chicken, go to the Bemidji Speedway.
Yeah, you're right. Very simple and very enthusiastic crowd. And they did the boxcar racing with the kids, so like I said, I'm glad I went. I'm going to make a goal of trying to get out there at least once a year here going forward. All right, speaking of going forward, we are going to get into the last lap segment where we have one to go. Darren Pittman announces his retirement and gets her done, Ryan.
Yeah, he had a long career. I mean, he's won some races. He's never been the guy, but it's pretty cool. He announced that he's going to go on a limited schedule next year, and he's out at that. I don't remember even who he drives for, but he's out there. And then he went out and he got her done this weekend. So hats off to Darren Pittman.
Yeah, and he is an Oklahoma boy, so winning back at home, that was pretty cool. You want to give us a little update on the points?
Yeah, Schuhart won, and then Sweet is up by 8. So, I mean, you still have less than 10 points. They've separated themselves now. There was a time when all top 5 were within 100 points or less, but now it's like 94, 96 points separating first and third. So, Brad Sweet, 8 points up on Logan Schuhart. Not a lot of racing left, but it's going to come down to the wire just like last year, except last year it was Brad Sweet and Donnie Schatz. This year, Brad Sweet, Logan Schuhart. It's going to get interesting.
All right, we touched on Kyle Larson just a little bit already.
Yeah, my buddy Keith said, hey, here's the deal. All this guy does, if there's a 20 grand to win show, just write the check. Just get the big check done. Give it to Kyle Larson. Tell him to sit out so that everybody else can go out and race and pretend like they won. And he just won another 20 grand to win show. And I believe, counting the late model deal, I think that's 40 on the year for him, isn't it? It's either 39 or 40 on the year. And again, the One to Go show would like to give an official thank you to NASCAR for being stupid and kicking him out so that we can have the joy of watching this immensely talented guy race on dirt, which is way better than asphalt anyway.
I just looked it up. I thought this. So Pittman was actually the 2013 World of Outlaw champion. And then I think that's when Schatz went on the run, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then Brad Sweet wins it in 19. So I looked through it, but I thought Pittman had won one in there. All right. We had the Butterball going on over the weekend. Who wants to take that?
Mike Marlar got it done, and he's been fast. I mean, a couple races, I don't remember where it was, but maybe we'd have to look, but he was battling for the lead. He won one just a little while back, didn't he? Or was at least in the contention to win one. But yeah, he won the just over 20,000. It was some other numbers in there, but 20,000 for Marlar, and Ricky Weiss got second. So a solid run for our friend from north of the border.
Well, go ahead, Bert.
Well, did Bloomquist go to that race?
No, Bloomquist was at another one. And
Ponderosa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for him in the rundown, and I thought he didn't even make the feature there because I thought he was going to the Butterball. Okay.
Yeah, my buddy Jeff actually did send that to me. He did send that to me, and he said Bloomquist got 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Bloomquist got second at Pond. Well, at least on Saturday night. I don't know if where he was Friday, but there was a race on
second?
Saturday.
I thought he got 7.
Well, maybe on Friday.
Maybe it was Friday.
Yeah, I think he might have raced 2 different times, but there was some 5,000 to win race, and I caught the end of it on a Facebook Live. Actually, on the Bloomquist Racing Facebook group had it, and I was just thumbing through and caught the last 5 or so. And he was not contending for the lead. He was 5 or 6 car lengths back. Last to a guy I'd never heard of. Sounds like a local hot shoe. So,
okay.
At least that was Saturday night. And then this.
Yep, go ahead.
This Butterball, we're talking about car counts, 20,000. So Cedar Lake, 3,000 to win 19 cars. The Butterball, 20,000 to win 36 cars. So, it just, I don't know what it is, as far as just trying to get some of these guys out, but 36 cars for 20 grand.
There was a race call at Lake Cumberland, Battle of the Bluegrass. And I didn't see it. I don't even know if it was streamed. Ryan King, he won that. That's actually where Bloomquist got 7th. So that might have been maybe the Friday night deal, because you said Bloomquist actually got 2nd on Saturday?
2nd on Saturday, yeah.
That's a good run.
Running the top, running right against the wall. He was running the top, running right against the wall. Yeah, I suppose he's got to go to some of these shows. He's got to win. He's like Darrell Nelson. He's got to win a race. I mean, how many years? 80. When's the last time he didn't win a race? 85, 84, 86? I don't know. He won the 88 World 100. We know that's on T-shirts. So, how far back do you go? I mean, he's got to get a win. He's going to be at Cedar Lake this weekend. I'm starting to rumor.
Well, he'll do what he did at
frenzy.
the end of the year. He'll be picking cherries to get one done in November somewhere down there or whatever. And the thriller Cade Dillard, he won the dirt on the Rev race down there, the Mississippi State Championship deal. So he's
exactly.
but now I think that was kind of like a home state. He's from Mississippi or Louisiana.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
So he's a Southern boy anyway, but now he's coming. He's going to be racing World of Outlaw stuff this weekend.
Hey, you know who a former Louisiana dirt state track champion is, right, Ryan?
What's that?
You know who a former Louisiana dirt late model state track champion is, don't you? Mr. Thunder himself.
Nesbitt is?
Oh, back in like 93. Oh, yeah. Ask him about it. Ask him about it. Yeah. Back in the day when he used to race all year round.
The Tomcat.
Yeah, Mr. Thunder. Yeah. That's where Dillard learned everything from.
Absolutely. That's where we all learn. Some of the stuff I was talking about, like hitting people with a four-wheeler, yelling at people,
Yeah.
I learned all that there. In fact, yelling at people.
Yeah, you're talking about crazy stuff.
Did you see that? I'll play the little clip right here. You know, people can kind of watch what's going on as we're talking about it. But that Gustin family's a little bit rowdy. They're a little bit rowdy. I know Jimmy Gustin used to be the brawler at the racetrack. If things went wrong, you just knock you out. That was Gustin. So their younger sister, Janae, and she's got a pile of wins. I mean, in the sport mod. I don't know if she raced much this year, but she's won a lot of races. Evidently, as you can see on the video that we just showed, she didn't like the call that she got, was a little bit upset, and then she went in and voiced her displeasure, and looks like maybe something was said. I heard rumors, but I don't have fact behind all them rumors on what was said. But next thing you know, she's throwing haymakers at the official in the infield. I'm like, wow. And she posted a public apology today, but it'll be interesting to see. IMCA, they're usually pretty strict on that kind of stuff, so I don't know if she's going to get suspended or what. But yeah, Janae Gustin, she was a little feisty down there in Marshalltown. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, and in her apology, she says that she's expecting to be suspended, and she's expecting IMCA to come down hard on her.
Yeah, I had no idea it was a female competitor. I just kind of saw somebody walk up and then start throwing haymakers, and I saw the 141 sign, so I thought it was in Wisconsin at that track. And you guys are talking about this incident at Marshalltown. I'm like,
and you're like, it's Wisconsin, of course. It's Wisconsin. Yeah, it's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They're a little crazy in Wisconsin anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, what incident are these guys talking about? It was clearly happened at 141, so I was all confused. But yeah, all over something common on a receiver, right?
There's different stories going around.
Sounds to me like she was battling for the lead. Contact was made. The call went on her, right? And that's what I understand. I wish I had video footage of that. There might be something out there. We'll see if we can maybe find it. But the fact is, from what I heard from some people, is they kind of been jacking her around a little bit, and I don't know the whole story. I mean, I know the Gustin name. Of course, that's the Reaper, Ryan Gustin's sister, right? You know, so he's a throttle jockey himself. But the fact is, it looked to me like something was said in the infield, because she started getting a little hot and heavy there, and then all of a sudden he said something, and then she just went straight at him. So I don't know if it was said over the receiver or if it was just said in the infield, but I may have had that kind of aggression a time or two myself. So,
all right, and to wrap up, Bert, some comments on Sam Mayer.
Yeah, I know this is a dirt show, but I just wanted to give kudos to Sam Mayer, 17, from Southern Wisconsin. He races for JR Motorsports in the NASCAR world. He won the Truck Series race at Bristol about a week ago, and it comes just shortly after he was hired by JR Motorsports to race next year in the Xfinity Series. So it's a Wisconsin driver who is definitely going places. He also won the ARCA event that was run after the Truck Series race. So he had a very successful time at Bristol, and I don't know a lot about him. He is the son of a former IndyCar driver, though, Scott Mayer. So former IndyCar driver and road racing driver. So congratulations to him, and we're expecting big things from him.
Yeah, and that brings me back to when we started the show. You know, those dirt late models seem to be really struggling in Wisconsin. We got a guy like this going to race for junior. Who's the other gentleman from Wisconsin that's racing trucks right now? Bert. The young kid.
Yeah, I can't think of his name now.
Yeah, the one you interviewed. Anyway, you know, he's
Derek Kraus. Derek Kraus.
Yeah. So he's in, you know, of course, we all know Kenseth's from Wisconsin. So all these asphalt guys, you know, asphalt driving is clearly been alive and well for the last 20 years in Wisconsin. And like you said, Ryan, Cedar Lake used to be the king of late models, and it's just slowly, there's this slow trickle. You know, I don't know. Like I said, it's an issue that I don't ever have any answers for, and I don't even know if people really knew there was a problem till maybe we've brought it out recently, but something's going to need to be done sooner than later, or it's going to be an extinction thing. Well,
I mean, and the thing is that I really don't understand with Cedar is there's people that live right there that didn't even race, right? And I don't know why or whatever, that's their own deal, but Hannisteds don't live far away. They're in Boyceville, right? So, I mean, It's not far from the Cedar Lake Speedway, and they just, in fact, I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I think they were there watching. So I think they went there and watched, and they didn't bring their car. So, you know, so you can take a look at some of the young guys. You got Glenn's, you got Giassi, you know, of course, Buddy Hannisted's a young guy, right? You got Gunnar Frank, you know, that's on the other side. You know, so there is some young guys over there. It's spread out all over the place. There's a whole bunch of young guys coming up. But when you start seeing an event like that, you know, the legendary 100, and they can't even get 24 late models. I mean, come on. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they really got to maybe take a closer look and work with the drivers here. Don't just have a knee-jerk reaction and change the rule, but they got to work with the drivers to figure out maybe we got to start pulling some people in from different directions, you know, to fill this field up. Right, you know.
Yeah, no Iron Range cars, no twin sport cars besides Budaslavich. I mean, you can't. Well, and then Daryl, yeah. So
Budaslavich is Minneapolis. He's from Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, technically.
Yeah, so I mean, he's an hour, you know, so he's right there. So the Lillos weren't down there. No Peterlin, no Kittner. You know, so I really don't know. No Zach Wallers. You know, none of the northern cars really. Massengill and Jeff Provenzino, they went to Fergus.
Right.
Yeah, and then when you look the other
direction.
Derek
Vessel went to Fergus.
Derek Vessel went to Fergus. And you go that other direction, though, and there, how many people, if you take a line down Wisconsin, right, you take Cedar Lake, and then you take Menominee, and if you go just, say, like 40 miles east, and then you draw a line straight north, right, and I'm talking like less than an hour, is there any drivers from that direction that even come over towards Cedar Lake? They're all from like right around Menominee, Cedar Lake, in between there. A couple from the cities, one from Duluth, and that's where they all go.
Winona. Yeah, Winona.
Winona. You know, so straight down on the left-hand side there. There's really, and all the guys that are on the other side of the state, they stay over there. So, but I mean, it's not just there. I mean, they had a good car count in Fergus, decent, you know, 34 or 33 or whatever they had. But the fact is, the NLRA guys, there's a good solid 20 cars up in that area. None of them came, right? Just a couple guys from South Dakota. Why? I just don't understand it. I mean, I mean, you buy a late model of all classes that costs that much. You got these big haulers, and then they drive 3 miles to the racetrack. I never understood that. Late models more than anything. You go and they buy this $250,000 stacker trailer with a big coach. They bitch about the purse nonstop, and they don't leave home. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you get an open trailer? Like, you don't even freaking need a tire rack. Like, literally, you need a flatbed. You're driving across the street to the racetrack. You don't need all this stuff, right? You're just trying to look cool. Like, oh, look at me. Look what I got. You know, people that I laugh at those people. Right, I laugh at those people because they show up and they're like, "Oh, look at all the stuff I got." I'm like, "That's cool. You used that hauler like 3 times this year. Congratulations!"
Well,
right?
That's interesting. We were talking earlier about that World Dirt Racing League. I think that's what it was, WDRL, World Dirt Racing League. And I remember they came to Superior one year, Ace IM, pickup truck, extended cab, open trailer, and like there were like 4 guys and Troy Powers in the pits. I'm like, Troy, you know all these guys? He's like, oh yeah, I've watched them all these years in Iowa. I said, look at, they're just traveling on pickups. Like, oh, they all do that, you know. Like I said, yeah. Then you looked at all the Wazota guys, and I mean, I saw one of those toter homes on Facebook recently, 384,000 or something. It looked beautiful.
Oh yeah, you gotta keep up with the Joneses, right? And that's why I just played the clip here. Okay, I just showed the clip on the. If you're listening to this, you got to jump on and look at this, right? Another reason I'm a Jesse Glenn's fan. Scamper Nation, baby, right? He's got a 26, 28-foot enclosed trailer, nothing special, pretty basic, with a pickup truck with a camper on the top of it here at the Labor Day Shootout, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's not pulling in with his big, and guess what? He goes to Cedar Lake and he makes everybody look stupid. So I love it. I love it. Now, speaking of keeping up with the Joneses, I forgot to mention this. Ron Jones was at the legendary 100 to modify. I think he got 7th in one of the qualifiers. I didn't see how he did the rest of the way. You know, it's been a long time since he drove, but that guy's won a ton of races. I completely spaced out the fact that Ron Jones was behind the wheel.
Yeah, that was totally cool. I did see that. So, all right, guys, anything else?
No, that's it. You guys going racing this weekend? Bert, you going anywhere?
No, I'm not going anywhere this weekend.
Yeah, you're going to casino. I don't know. Like I said, there's the Stampede going on. If I was to go anywhere, like I said, I wasn't really expecting to go this past weekend, but I did. So, you know, who knows?
On the Go Show World Tour, baby. We're heading to the Casino Speedway, Watertown, South Dakota. Puka, I tell you, make the trip out there. You know, come on out. Well, I'll introduce you in person to Trevor, right? Come on out there. We've been talking about this bull ring. It's really, I don't think it's much further, if any further, to Casino than it is to Jamestown. You know, so you might as well come to come to a Wissota race instead of the IMCA stuff up there, right? You know, so come on.
I could even do one night of each, right?
You could. It's warmer too,
I could even
right?
do one night of each.
You can go to Jamestown first and then down, because you're looking at 100+ miles south. I mean, it's warmer in Watertown than it will be up there. And for the race fans, if you're not going anywhere this weekend, jump on Dirt Race Central. Casino Speedway will be on Dirt Race Central. Cedar Lake Speedway will be on Dirt Race Central. You'll be able to watch both of those. The Bemidji Stampede that we talked about will be on Dirt Race Central. Watch DRC.TV for all that stuff. And then, of course, if you're watching the National Series, there'll be plenty of late model and sprint car racing online as well. So grab your popcorn, buckle up, watch some racing, and we'll be bringing you a good show next week.
All right, and then just one final announcement, race fans. So I myself, Puka, if you're listening on the podcast, I will not be consistently joining the One to Go show. We've grown so much. We're going to be actually spawning out and starting another show. So it'll be Bert and Ryan weekly manning the show. I'll still be making occasional appearances here and there, but weekly I will not be on the show. So just watch the Facebook page, keep the podcast going. We're going to make some announcements here as to another show that'll be coming up in a week or two. We don't exactly have the timing on it. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And with
we're
that,
growing.
We'll sign off.
We're growing.
We're growing. Yeah, we're growing. Oh, and like I said, I wanted to say this to race fans. Thank you so much for your support. We had over 15,000 views this week with, we're almost close to 16 really at the last number I got, because when I looked at the podcast numbers, kind of puts us, so I think we can say slightly over, as of recording, over 16,000 views this past week of everything Ryan did and the show and the interview we did with Turnbull. That was a great interview with Aaron. Thank you for joining us, Aaron. So, we just can't thank you enough. We are growing, and we appreciate all of you. And, as much as we complain about some of these late model numbers, and racing and all, I think is healthy. And, like I said, like this weekend, you got a lot of racing going. You got Jim Falls, you got Cedar Lake, you've got Casino, you've got Bemidji, you've got Jamestown. I mean, it's getting to be the end of what's the first day of fall today. So we're officially into fall. You got 5 different places in just a few states to race. So that's good. So anyway, we just wanted to make sure we thanked all of you for all your support and sticking with us and enjoying the One to Go show. All right. So we'll sign off here. Get out there and be your dream. Thanks again, everyone. You are tuned to the One to Go show.